Consistent self-improvement, everybody. You are now listening to American gypC Podcast. I am your host, Classic, and I am here with my co-host,
gypC. And today we have Antonio Ladson. He is the author of a kid's book about crypto called Brandy and Jacob Crypto Adventures. Welcome, Antonio.
Welcome.
Well, thank you guys for having me on today. How you guys doing today?
Doing
pretty good. Yes, it's a pleasure having you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, about, like where you're from and how did you got into what you do today as far as crypto and everything.
Well, I was born in Sumter, South Carolina, and then we migrated to New York City, where I kind of grew up. And, I think I kind of moved back and forth between Las Vegas and California and New York, and kind of graduated in California and immediately went to the military. Did about 8 years in the military. Overseas, kind of traveled the world on Uncle Sam's dollar. It was my favorite uncle right there. He always paid for my tickets and everything. So I got that out of the way. After that, I came back to California because I left from here and I joined the Department of Correction. And I've been working in law enforcement for like 27 years.
Wow.
Finally retired February at the level of captain. And after that, I just had to find something to do. I kind of got interested in crypto technology in the whole space.
Okay, you say you went to the military. Was that in your family, or is that something that you just decided to do?
No, my father was in the military. My uncle was in the military.
Okay.
I think it was a good avenue for me at the time. So I was a knothead growing up. You can't hide that. I was getting into too much mischief. Military kind of reined me back in and gave me direction. So okay. I think going to the military was a good thing for me. It opened my eyes to the world, growing up in Harlem and getting to see outside of Harlem and outside of these other areas of poverty. You open your eyes up, you open your mind up, and it kind of takes you in a different direction. That old tale is there's a fork at every road. Either you go left or you go right. I went right in the military. I think it was a good decision for me because I think the road was good so far. God bless him.
Okay. You say you were born in South Carolina. I'm originally from Mississippi. So okay. What was it like as far as in South Carolina growing up the little time that you were there?
Well, South Carolina, it was pretty good. I think I'm 53 years old. So back then, a lot of people migrated from down south and went to the cities for better jobs, better environment. And the culture itself was different from being in the South. Deep South wasn't no joke. Yeah. You got some good learning down there, but you it was what it was at the time, Yeah. And evolution changes everything. But, every summer we would go home down south and, you pick up the old traditions. You get your tail whipped by a couple of your aunties, a couple of your cousins, for acting up. I think going home in the summer instilled a little more discipline in you because that's what a yes ma'am, the no ma'am, you respected your elders down south. And at the same time, living in New York, it was a little more freedom because, down south compared to going to a big city, it was a big change. So I think I captured the best of both worlds. It was like making some Kool-Aid and some tea at the same time. Had a nice drink, what I'm saying? I'm saying, so I know Mississippi, kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Down south.
Familiar.
Grow with that respect.
Yeah. So what was New York like for you when you say you grew up in Harlem?
Man, New York was, it was totally different. I think New York had that, if you had a big family in New York, it had that family connection. But at the same time, they had those avenues. If you want to get in trouble, you're going to get in trouble. New York never sleeps. It's 24/7.
Yeah.
And I think when you hit your preteens, you kind of smell that city. It's a concrete jungle. You can't deny it. Did I have direction growing up in New York? I'll say sometimes. Did I have, I think the containment wasn't there because the city, you can go anywhere in that city. You can get lost in that city. You get on the train, the A train, the double D, you get lost. You might be in Harlem now, an hour later, you're in Coney Island. You can get lost as a youngster in New York. So I think New York gave me some good lessons, though. I think New York, it let me be wild. I was wilding out. Mom would tell me, hey, you got to go live with your auntie for a minute. She'll send me to Las Vegas, come back home, I'm wilding out again. I'll be in California. I think every time I went to New York, I learned a little more of what the concrete jungle is. I mean, I see some things in New York. I love it. I say now, me and my wife went back there probably 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago. I seen my people. We went downtown, we did Central Park, we did the tourist thing, but then we went back to Harlem. And seeing Harlem now versus when I seen it then, there's a big dramatic change. I think it's getting more. I'm not gonna say that gentrification thing. I'm just gonna say it's getting more integrated, right?
Yeah.
When I grew up, you didn't see too many people that didn't look like us walking around Harlem with baby carriages. We got home this time, I'm looking around like, wow, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So I think New York is definitely changing. For good or bad, I don't know. It's changing. I would say it's changing. Yeah. Progress. Everything happens with progress. But I love growing up in New York. I went to. Matter of fact, I used to sing in a choir back in the day. When you come from California and the educational system out here versus the educational system in New York, you go home, you're the smartest kid in class. And you're like, damn, excuse my language. You're like, man, I'm the smartest kid in class. You go back to Harlem. I just don't think the curriculum was pushed, education wasn't pushed in inner cities versus living out here in California. So when I talk to somebody in California and says, man, we didn't have this, I say, wow, go to New York. And you'll really understand about education back in them days. And it wasn't really geared towards you or for you. I think it was just holding you there. That was just my interpretation of what I seen growing up in Harlem.
What brought you?
It wasn't bad.
I was gonna say, what brought you to California?
Oh man, I was wilding out. I was doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing. We're gonna leave it at that. God bless the dead. My grandma. I think my grandmother seen it. It's two things. You can end up in New York. You can end up dead, or you can end up in jail. I'm not saying there's no avenues of getting your education and everything else, but I think once you get into that mainstream of getting in trouble, it's hard to break away from it. I mean, everything's right there. And being in a concrete jungle and everything's open to you, you kind of get into mischief. If you ain't on your books, you get into mischief. And I think my grandmother seen me getting into mischief, and her and my mother made that decision that it was time for me to go. So they sent me out here to live with my uncle and auntie in California. Ended up in Vacaville, California, onion field country of the world.
Onion field?
Vacaville was nothing but onions and more onions. So you took a kid from Harlem wearing Timberlands and some camis, had the Afro rock and everything else, come out here to California. 3 months later, I got my flip flops on, I got my shorts on, chilling, a whole different world.
Whole different energy.
I was grateful for that opportunity. That opportunity kept me out of jail cell. I can say that, and kept me out of the graveyard. So thanks to my grandmother, and my mother, for taking that direction with me. Okay. Like you say, nobody wants to send their kid away, but sometimes it's best
to keep them alive, or keep them free. To understand. Yeah. Exactly. But you grew up in a big family, or was it only? Were you the only child?
Well, I was the only child. My grandmother had like 9 kids, and they had kids. Yeah. So when you grow up in that close proximity to all your cousins become your sisters and brothers. Yeah. And my mother was the second oldest, so her brothers and sisters became my brothers and sisters.
Okay.
So I was fortunate, no siblings. It was kind of good because at the same time I was fortunate to have a big enough family. So I think it worked out. I mean, it worked out for the best. So it was a true blessing.
Your experience in the military after leaving, what was your direction as far as around that time? Did you have a hard time kind of adjusting to, I guess, coming back into non-military things, or you went straight into the correction?
Yeah, I think when I joined the military, I had that bit of hard head in me, and they kind of reformed that into some better directions. And I'll tell you, when a person grows up in adversity and you put them in a situation with good training and good direction, they use those skill sets and it makes them a better soldier, a better leader, a better commander. Adversity builds a person. I think when I got in the military, I went from Oklahoma to Europe, and we did some traveling from there. And I love being in the military. I was just last year, me and my wife went down to Dallas. And we had a meetup with some guys I knew when I was 19 years old. So we have a friendship lasting 30 years long. It's kind of crazy. You see a guy you used to club with in the military, now you're a pastor. Or, you're like, wow, time changing.
Yeah.
So I think that was good for some friendship. And, when I got out of the military, I didn't waste time. As soon as I got out, I hit the ground running. My uncle was very pro get you a job, man. You got time for that. He grew up in Philly, so he kind of knew, hey, you need to get on. So when I got out, I tested for Department of Correction, Highway Patrol, Contra Costa Sheriff, Oakland PD, Vacaville PD. And I passed all of them. Only one I didn't pass was Highway Patrol. That was more thinking right there. And my thing was the first one that gave me a job, I took it. So my transition period from the military to law enforcement was I say 6-9 months. After that, I had a job 9 months later, 6 to 9 months later. I was in the academy, and I started my Department of Correction. And the Department of Correction, whole different world, whole different world.
What are some of the biggest differences between, I guess, the military mindset and the Department of Correction type of mindset?
I think when you put it in a perspective, you talk about military, paramilitary. A military organization, which is Army, straight military, right? Paramilitary, they're trying to orientate themselves or model themselves around a military perspective. You know what I'm saying? So a paramilitary organization like Department of Correction, you have policies, you have structure in line, you have command structure, and you follow that, right? And doing this for a long time, I think I got in 95, 94. The department was a total different world. You hear about gladiator school, staff getting assaulted, inmates getting killed. You're talking about gangs, Norteños, Crips, Blood. There's a lot of things you had to take in when you get in the Department of Correction versus being in the military, So I think growing up in Harlem, going to the military, and then going to correction kind of prepared me for that. Seeing some of those adventures, some of those rides I went on. It was like being in a prison. The state has 33 right now. Prison is a city itself. A lot of I think a lot of civilians don't understand what that is. When a person is incarcerated and he's put in that system, and whatever prison he's at, he's in that city. So he has to follow the norm of that city. Even though there's departmental policies and guidelines, each prison operates different because each prison has a different mission. You have lower levels to higher levels. So whatever level you in, that's how you're going to operate. Say if I was fortunate. My first institution was Sierra Conservation Center, which is a fire camp institution that housed level 3 and level 4 overrides, higher level custody. But the mission of that institution was to put out inmate firefighters. You had about 15 camps that they were under from Central California all the way to Southern California. And those are great assets to California because you're training a convicted felon to be an inmate firefighter. I used to call them firefighters because anytime they put their life on the line, you're not thinking inmate, you're thinking firefighter. He's doing the same thing. These guys out there making all that money. He's learned the skill set. The average person is not going to go out there and fight fires, but he's doing this. Does he have to do it? No, but he's putting in a position where, okay, you do this and you're getting paid, you learn the tool. And at the same time, back then they were giving you 1 for 1, 1 day off your sentence. Every day you served, you got 1 off, so that was kind of an incentive for you to be an inmate firefighter. So I did that for a while. And I worked at, I don't know if you heard of Dual Vocational Center. That was probably one of the oldest one with San Quentin and Folsom.
Okay, yeah, I haven't
where
heard of
guys are
it.
getting, yeah, guys are getting stabbed constantly, and it was just total, chaos. So I think my ride in Department of Correction was pretty good. But in my career, Department of Correction, I activated a prison hospital called California Healthcare Facility. It was a high price tag to open that place. And that place mission was to take all the sick mental health inmates and put them in one central location. It was supposed to be a cost saving. So you figure you have 30 prisons, and you have inmates that's getting an older population who's getting sick. You always had to farm them out to hospitals or something else, which was taking that cost. So you build an institution right here, we're going to centralize all of that. And you have different disciplines working there, from doctors to nurses, psychologists, phlebotomists, mental health staff. Opening that place right there, it taught me a lot, because your language has to change. Working with a whole bunch of prison guards, we have the same language. Working with staff of different disciplines and different mission, even though only way they can get a bed in this hotel was to be a convicted felon, they were there for a purpose, whether it be dementia, old age, cancer, something. They had to have that to get to this hotel. I call it a hotel because that's the only way you got in. You had to be a convicted felon. But opening that place up itself, it was pretty good, because I think the state seen a vision and they acted on it. And I think it was helpful for a lot of those guys, because you figure a guy going to prison young, he don't understand. You got 30 years to go. You ain't always gonna be this young and fend guys off you.
Right.
So by opening that place right there, it kind of helped these guys out. It put them where they need to be. That I think the mission was good for elderly inmates, sick inmates, guys with mental health issues. So I think the mission itself was very good for them. So I think I end my career there. And after that, just have to see what I can do.
So is this a program that's only in your area or in California, or is this something that is kind of nationwide?
Well, when you start talking about institutions with a mission of mental health and medical, you have one in San Diego. It's RJD. They have a pretty healthy inmate medical mission. And you have this one up here in Northern California. But I think this one here is really focused on that. And they send a lot of these guys to this institution. Within that institution itself, you have level 1 through 4. You have inmates in OHU, outpatient. You have inmates in pretty high level of care. And then you have inmates where Department of State Hospital. I don't know if you heard about that. Department of State Hospital?
Not familiar.
Department of State Hospital is a psychiatric place, right? That's operated by the state. There were more Department of State hospitals before the pendulum swung. When everybody started talking about taxes, everybody started talking about, okay, we're spending too much money on these places right here. So when you close those kind of places that was caring for the mentally ill, these guys go back on the street. What do? They start to create crime, right? Yeah. When you start creating crime and put them in a institutional setting, I don't think a lot of institutions are ready to deal with that, because you got a different monster on your hand. You're dealing with guys with psychosis, schizophrenia, and these are lifetime events that they've had. Before they cut those programs, these guys are going to state hospitals. So when they get in there, we had an old saying, JCAS. That was just a term of endearment that we call the guys that had some mental issues, not knowing better. I think the state had to understand that. So there were a lot of lawsuits that came about saying, okay, you guys are charged with taking care of these guys now. So what are you going to do about it? So that takes Department of Correction and say, okay, we have to put things in place to make sure that we are taking care of this inmate, patient, inmate, whatever you want to call it. So now you're just talking about stronger mental health programs, hiring more mental health staff, talk about hiring more medical staff. So you're incorporating that into an institutional setting where the basic correctional officer, correctional staff understand the security aspect. You wasn't trained on how to handle a mental health patient. You wasn't trained on how to handle a medical patient. You was trained how to keep a convicted felon incarcerated within an institutional setting and operate that. So you put that together, you have an explosion of all of these categories and all of these different disciplines working together, and you have to put direction on that. Okay, what supersedes what? Do security supersedes saving a guy's life, right? Do security supersedes a guy getting his treatment, dialysis? And you have to look at that, and that's a complex issue to put together. I mean, it's like taking a puzzle, throw it in the air, and now you're sitting there seeing what piece goes where. And at the end of the day, you have to take, say, Title 22 is governed by medical staff, right? A lot of nurses. It talks about all the medical needs, what they should do, what they should abide by. You talk about Department of Operation Manual, DOM, and lesser policies. Okay. It kind of governs the security aspect of it. So you have to marry those together sometime and come up with local operating procedures. And at the same time, you have to be cognizant, are you violating law? Because a lot of things Department of Correction manuals and Title 15 government is law. A lot of things, Title 22 under the medical aspect is medical law, where these guys are messing with their license if they violate and everything else.
Yeah.
So it's a touchy subject. So you done got me on this stuff I retired from, and it hasn't left me yet.
But it's very informative information,
They got me. And you know what? It's good because I'll tell you, people of color needs to understand, and people get incarcerated. And the only thing they want to know, one thing you really hear is, man, what you put on my books or visiting time. There's more into this. You're talking about the apprenticeship programs they have in there. You talk about guys going there getting jobs, learning skills. When a guy gets incarcerated, the worst thing he can do is sit there. Yeah. You have to learn, hey, man, you can't just sit there. You're going to go crazy. Or you're going to go be an introvert, or you're going to turn into violence, or you're going to join somebody's prison game. And you come in here with 2 years, you turn around, you got 10 years. So you're battling time. And I think growing up where I did grow up, it gave me a better insight to talk to you guys saying, hey, man, I grew up with you, my language. I grew up where you grew up. Don't take like that, but you got yourself here. What are you going to do while you're here? There's a lot to do. Okay. All these programs here, you got guys that come in from outside, drug rehabilitation, alcohol programs. You have guys come in learning. I mean, there's so much when a person gets incarcerated that he can do to turn around his situation. And a lot of times, I mean, I think right now, the way the laws are structured, people are getting paroled pretty fast, And with crime going up in California, I was watching one of the DAs down in LA. He had let some people out and it kind of rubbed some people the wrong way, right? So when you have these judges make decisions saying, okay, you guys are overcrowded and you need to get rid of so many inmates. So now you go back into policy and you start looking at the offense, their crime, how much time they got, what are you going to give them towards good time? Can we let you out? Right. And I think they supersized that and did it too fast, because now when these guys get out, you take a lot of authority from parole agents, because parole agents can't violate them like they used to. Back in the day, parole agent can send a guy back to prison, which was not a good or bad thing. But back in the day, a guy get violated, he goes back to prison automatically for something petty. So it's just harder to send guys back to prison. So as we see crime as it is now, California is really thinking about, okay, did we make the right decisions? And all these decisions came about because of overcrowding jails, overcrowding prisons, bad living conditions, inhumane living conditions, what the documents say. I'm not saying that, but you deal with what you got. And if you operate in this city, I rose to the level of administrator. So when you're dealing with these cities and guys are coming in, you're looking at budgets, you're looking at staffing, you're looking at a whole bunch of things, and you have to facilitate incarcerating this inmate and making sure he has a program. When I say a program, what level he's going to be on, is he going to have a job? Is he going to have yard time? Is he going to do this? There's a lot that goes into operating a institutional setting. But you know what? It's not all negative. I mean, I had a lot of W's in the department. When a guy is doing something bad on the yard, he's a level 1 inmate. He's 19 years old. He looks like me. Hey, man, you better knock that off. I'm going to tell your mama. You don't know my mama. Man, I've called somebody's mom in a heartbeat. You know what your son here doing? I've called their mom before, or you go to the visiting room, their mom in the visiting room. And not all people incarcerated are bad. They just may made bad decisions.
Right.
And you have to pay for it. So when a guy's young and he comes into prison, like you say, he can get a job, he can learn something, or he can join the prison gang. And that last one usually gets some more time. Like, he going there with 2 years, now he's got 10 years, now he's got 15 years.
Yeah.
Because these guys are gonna assess him and say, okay, you want to join a gang, you got to do this. Either you're going to be muling somebody's drugs, either you're going to be assaulting somebody for them. You got to do something that's going to pull you deeper into that world where you're in jail for petty robbery, carjacking somebody. You're in jail for stealing a car or something. I'm not saying that's right, but those are lesser in the crime scale. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
these guys have to have some kind of direction. So you got me talking about CDCR, which I've been doing too long.
But that's something that you definitely know about, and that's one of the reasons why we have our platform to talk to people with experience like you, and we can get that kind of information, that experience.
So the best avenues to that is preventive. We're on these streets, we got to be preventive to keep these youngsters out of jail. I think the glorification of the gangs kind of went away in a lot of areas. And I think a lot of these youngsters look at TikTok, YouTube, I look at you guys substantially younger than me, podcasting. Those are positive attitudes. A lot of these guys look to Forex. One of my cousins from New York called me. He's like 20 years old. Hey, cuz, what you doing? I said, not much. He said, hey, what this Forex? I said, Forex? Oh, I don't even drive a Forex. He said, no, man. I think he's talking about a car. What are you talking about, man? Forex. But he's 19 years old. And he's telling me about an Ivy League skill that they only taught in Ivy League college. And a lot of people of color don't know that. I mean, a lot of people, period, without money don't know that. But people of color, we really didn't know that. Foreign exchange trading. You're trading a fiat currency against another fiat currency. That's all you're doing. You don't own nothing. You're not selling nothing. You're trading. That's all you're doing. But Ivy League college, you go and they're teaching you about Forex. They're teaching about the stock market. They're teaching about all of this that we're not. So when I see young people, young men and women of color getting into this, I get excited. So he laced me up, told me about it and everything else. I mean, he got me up 2:00 in the morning. I'm trading Forex, I'm looking at the markets and everything else. And he put me in his network. So when I see his networks, I see many young Black men and women out there getting their money. They're doing positive things. Those are determinants of saying, okay, we're changing. The pendulum's swinging for us. Not as fast as we want it, but it's swinging for us. It's many positive things. So I can look at CDCR when I see all those young kids, 19, 20 years old, coming to pen, thinking they got their badge of honor. Ain't no badge of honor. You ain't got caught. You did something stupid. Now you got to do some time, and you're a convicted fellow for the rest of your life, and you pay for it. But can you change the outcome, the narrative of what they try to give you? Yes, you can. I love that because, I tell guys all the time, they said, man, Lieutenant Ladson want to talk to you. Sit down. I talk to these guys like my kids. What you doing? And we'll have that conversation. And they see me coming. I'm talking knowledge to them. And, don't tell me about them streets. I grew up on them streets. I was doing some things I ain't gonna talk about, but I grew up on those streets. So you can change your life no matter where you're at right now. But what's going on now today, when you talk about Forex, cryptocurrency, I see a lot of minorities into it, and the narrative and what media will portray is a lot of Blacks are not into cryptocurrency. Or a lot of Blacks not into Forex. And I can say that's a lie. These guys are killing this game right now. I don't know about you guys. Have you guys done it?
Yeah, we're into it.
We're into
cryptocurrency.
I was going to ask, when did you get into crypto, and what made you get into it in the beginning?
It's crazy because when my cousin hit me up with that Forex trading, when you're buying, when you're taking your money, you change your fiat currency into crypto, They want you to do Bitcoin. And then you send your Bitcoin to your broker. And, I'm doing this. And I'm telling him every time I say, dang, what you doing, cuz? Man, I don't know. I lost about $50 again. Save to cyberspace. Because I didn't know. But then it dawned on me, I'm taking what, I had to read what is Bitcoin, because it's all about Bitcoin. A lot of these brokers wanted Bitcoin, but I didn't understand why they only wanted Bitcoin. They wasn't taking cash. They wanted Bitcoin. They knew something we didn't know. I didn't know. So I started reading into it. And then when I learned what Bitcoin was, which is nothing but a digital asset, a new arriving asset class that's blowing everybody's mind, I started getting to the rest of the crypto stuff, Ethereum. I started to understand what utilities these guys have. People talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin ain't nothing but a digital asset, right? You guys are into it, so you know that, but the average person don't know. It has a similarity to gold. 21 million only in circulation. Only so many people can hold that.
Yeah.
Same thing with gold. Only so many people can possess amount of gold like that, like our Fort Knox, and say we got some money now. So I see a change happening. We're getting out of that metal to a digital asset now. And then the rest of those guys are just as bad, man. You guys already know when you start talking about different assets like Ethereum, or Polygon, ADA, or the blockchain itself. And, and the education part of it is, what is a blockchain and what is it used for? Usually people my age don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? One thing they want to hear is, man, I can't spend that. I can't spend a blockchain yet. But think about it now. People my age don't want to hear that. I talk to cats my age. They don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But they don't understand. We missed the internet. We missed the boat on the internet. I don't care what you're telling me. Black people missed the boat on the internet. Nobody wanted to deal with that. You remember the AOL? You got the little buzzing sound going on. Nobody wanted to deal with the internet. Nobody wanted to invest in the internet. Nobody wanted to invest in Apple. Not people of color, not many of them, small percentage, I'll say that. Right. But we didn't have the access like we have today to understand it. Like you say, internet wasn't functioning big enough for us to understand the internet. You didn't have TikTok, you didn't have YouTube, you didn't have all of these information sources to tell you what it is. So I think it's a loss when people are not sitting there taking advantage of all of this stuff. Because I'll tell you right now, cryptocurrency is your new web internet. Is your Web3, and everything built on that is containing technology. So when you're talking about fiat currency turned into digital assets, and then you wrapping technology around it, and you talk about some bad stuff there. That's like nitro. I mean, you cannot stop the explosion. I get excited talking about it because, for my age, you guys' ages, you look at it and you're at the tip of the spear right now. Think what this thing's going to do later on.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Charles Hopkins. He's the founder of ADA, Cardano. Yeah. He's taking all that technology and he's applying it in Africa. He's applying it in India. Those are big populations right there. Those are populations with some technology problems. Their tracking system is not good. Their banking system is not good. They have scams constantly. Think if you could take that technology and sit that down in Africa. A lot of people don't understand. Africa is a leading country in crypto and blockchain technology. People are sleeping on that. People are sleeping on that. My brothers over there are getting it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying I didn't know that.
Yeah, because not too many people talk about crypto in Africa. I know I've heard of Acoin and a couple of other ones. We just heard of one yesterday. I forgot what the name was, but
was it Guap?
Well, Acoin, Guap is the first black crypto that was made. A lot of people don't know about Guap, but Guap was the first one made. So after we get off of this, man, I challenge you guys to go check out that Guap. Get your Guap, right? I got me some.
Okay.
Right? And Acoin, when you talk about Acoin, you talk about Akon, the rapper, right? The singer, whatever he is. He started that whole process there. And he started building something called Akon City. Yeah. New technology city, pretty advanced. I was just checking that out last week. And, it looks good. I think he started the funding good, but now there's some hiccups. And I say there's some hiccups because more funding is going to be needed. And I think if that process gets off the road, man, that's going to blow people's mind right there. And now when you talk about crypto technology used in Africa, what they first thing they utilized it were for their schools and how to use that blockchain technology to retain information for their schools. How can you use that blockchain technology to use for identity identification? So there's a lot of things going on over there. India just jumped back in the game. They want to be a part of it. India is a leading place also in technology. But like I said, a lot of people are sleeping on Africa. Africa's leading the way. If you really get into the deep dive of it, Africa is leading the way on crypto technology. I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like my anaconda, I'm ready to get out with it. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned about the ADA being used in the schools, because I've kind of tried to explain it, but I don't know the full details of it. I grew up in Ethiopia, and that's where ADA is being used in the education system. Do you know the details on that, like how they're using it?
So if you take a blockchain technology, like what Cardano, Turd Hoskins doing, the worst thing that's happening over there, they have no tracking system in place. Okay. And blockchain technology is a ledger. It keeps record of everything. And it's true because it's not owned by one person. Say if you take a couple of blocks and you push them all around and you connect them all, that's your blockchain. That's your information hub. So that's your ledger. Your true ledger is getting kept with that technology. So when you start talking about tracking in Africa, there is no tracking system. It's very hard to track. Okay. They don't have their technology is not fast enough to track that. So once that tracking system gets placed with those schools, you can track a guy from when he started school, when he ended school, where he went to, his credentials, what he's learned. I mean, that's a pretty big platform when you start networking that around to Africa itself. Ethiopia also. Ethiopia is Africa. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, a lot of people don't know that. I'm from Africa. Oh, man, Africa, Ethiopia. That's where I started at. A lot of people don't know Africa got its name from a Roman general who conquered Africa. When Rome conquered something, the general got the name of Africa, put that name on it. So he said General Africana. So he named Africa. Got me talking, got me talking. Got me talking. So you look at it like when you take that technology and put it in those schools, you're building a blockchain, a ledger of information that's going to be retained and can be utilized throughout their country. So you start there, and now you're talking about using that same technology on identification process. There's a lot of fraud over there, a lot of scams going on. But if you can minimize that and use that blockchain technology for identification, then you move on to your banking sector and apply that blockchain in your banking sector. And you have different coins, utility coins that deal with that, like XRP or what's another good one? XRP is a good one. I say XRP because that's the big news. But there's a couple other ones that you can apply that with. You kind of understand what I'm saying when you say you're applying that technology in schools?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Glad you explained that.
So I think it's good that we're doing that now. I just wish more older Black people jump on this bandwagon, and because I see a lot of millennials in this game. Millennials of color in this game, and I love to see them. That Forex, crypto, they're in this game. They're coming up with, they're coming up with their version of games. NFT is the big now, non-fungible tokens. Yeah. And non-fungible tokens is nothing but a digital picture or a digital ledger. So I think when people talk about NFTs, they get caught up in the picture itself. So a non-fungible token is nothing but a digital ledger of something that you're certifying. So let's apply a NFT to say you're getting divorced. No, I don't say that word. Let's say you're selling your car, right?
Yeah.
And the documentation that you're selling your car with, you got to go to DMV. They got to type it in. They got to stamp it. What if you make that a non-fungible token and you put identification on it? Now it's part of the blockchain. It can never get lost. It can never be changed. Nobody can alter it. Now it's marking history. That's the beautiful part of what NFT really does. I think people get caught up and, I bought a Bored Ape, or I bought, a picture. That sounds good. But when you talk about these guys doing that bad stuff coming down the road, when they're talking about NFTs, they're talking about contracts. They're talking about, identification processes. They're talking about ledgers. Companies are using NFTs to keep that documentation, which is going to go into the blockchain itself.
Yeah,
And the
I'm
beautiful
hearing
part
real
about that,
estate.
it's big thing right there. Real estate
Yeah.
right there. You buy a house, right? You
Yeah.
turn that documentation process into NFT. Never get lost. It's on the blockchain, but you have security protocols that you have to follow to access it. But it's on the blockchain itself.
Yes.
Then we jump,
There.
then, you go a little deeper into that. You start talking about the metaverse. We've been in the metaverse for a long time. I just think they look at it now and capture, we're going to make it a big thing. Facebook wants to jump in. Apple wants to jump in. Google wants to jump in. All of these sneaker companies, they want to buy in. Biggest three I can say right now: Luvium, Decentraland, and Sandbox.
Yeah.
Sandbox, right?
Yeah.
I got them all. right? So there, you got to get your money, man. So when you buy into those platforms, you of course you want to make your money, but what you can do in those platforms, you talk about an ultra reality, an inner space. We started out, when I grew up, playing Atari, you playing the metaverse. Now, what you guys grew up on, Nintendo. I think it's Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's inner space. Now you talk about connectivity. They do that now with PS4. It's connectivity. These guys are playing on TV. Everybody's on the mic. Everybody's seeing the same thing. Now you're talking about VR, virtual reality, AI, and you got goggles. You're going into that. You own digital land into the metaverse. You buy products in the metaverse, and a lot of these institutional buyers really caught on to this. When I say institutions versus retail buyers, me and you are retail buyers because we don't command all of that money and that power. Institutional buyers, Nike, Puma, anybody with big money out there, right? Tesla, those are institutional buyers. Square, Microsoft, institutional buyers. They pretty much command the market because they have the bigger part of the money to sway it. So when these guys are getting in, you see more adoption into this, right? So what would it profit an institutional buyer like McDonald's to buy into the metaverse? Because as you go into the metaverse and you're walking around, McDonald's got that big flashy sign right there. Buy a burger in the metaverse and then go pick it up at the store. Or buy a burger in the metaverse and all of a sudden Uber is going to arrive to your door and buy it, right? So buying, these guys are buying these plots of land because as people play the earn games or in the metaverse and everything else, as you walking around, what you see, you see signs of Pepsi, you see signs of Coke, you see McDonald's, Burger King, you see all of these ads coming at you constantly in the metaverse. So is it more practical to see those ads on TV or see them on metaverse when you have millions of people in the metaverse playing? This stuff is like, this stuff is bad, man. I wish I was like 30 years younger. This is bad.
Especially when the young population is moving towards the metaverse, that's going to be, even for advertisers, that's going to be one of the main places to go to really get some relevancy because they're not on Facebook. So
we see it now. Roblox. My granddaughters play Roblox, right?
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing going on. That's the metaverse itself right there. Now, when it gets bigger and bigger and getting linked into all of this stuff that's going on, you'll see Roblox everywhere. So that's the start of a metaverse. And it kind of, I've been retired but I've been in the Forex and crypto for like a year. I think 70% of all new users of cryptocurrency got in 2021 because everybody was seeing that the money boom. They didn't understand the volatility that comes with this, but the potential of growth and making money is definitely bigger than the stock market. I do stock market too, but where are you going to gain 10% on your money and what stock and how long? It take you about a year, right?
Yeah.
It's slow movers right there. Unless you're dumping $1 million, it's going to take you about a year, right? Mm-hmm. Versus you go get you some crypto, you wake up tomorrow, man, I done made $1,500. Think about that. Yeah. It's crazy, but the volatility in the stock market isn't as great as it is in crypto. A lot of people understand that. You're going to have that volatility, but the best part of it is a decentralized environment. When I say decentralized environment, it's not controlled by any one government. The currency is not fiat, and the conversation goes around is, will crypto digital assets replace fiat currency? And to me, I would say yes, because these countries are running to create CBDCs, central digital bank currency. See how fast they pimped that game? A CBDC. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants crypto, but we're gonna give you guys something else. Centralized, centralized. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Central. You know what I just said.
Yeah,
but what's the key word in that acronym?
Crypto?
Centralized.
Yeah, centralized.
CBDC, centralized digital bank currency, right?
Yeah.
So now they want to replace their fiat currency because every country has a fiat currency. The ruble, the dollar, the Deutschmark, the euro. Every country has a fiat currency. Now that everything is going digital with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all these other things, the banks are saying, okay, governments are saying, okay, we're going to lose control because these are decentralized platforms and decentralized money we have no control over. So we need to do something for our people. Okay, if and I say people my age, really, because we always want to feel safe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're going to give you a CBDC. We're going to give you a centralized digital bank currency that's backed by government. Since you want to play in a digital world, put your money here and use, America's central or whatever country it is. Use our money of a government-backed digital currency. So you kind of take away the premise of decentralized.
Yeah.
And I have two views on that. When you decentralize something, no one governs it, and it's all over the place. To me, I see anarchy. You have to have regulations in this, and it slows a lot of these big retailers, institutional buyers from getting in because there is no regulation. To put it on your balance books or put it on your books itself, you have to have a regulation of saying, okay, I'm putting this asset on my business books. Are you guys okay with that? Can I show this as a profit, a loss, or as an asset for my company? And, a lot of people are afraid of that regulation because they want to get taxed on it. Pay your taxes. You pay your taxes. So what? Who cares? Pay your taxes. Yeah. With regulation, you kind of cleans this whole thing up, but you open up more avenues of more legal things that are going on. I think for years, since 2000, when it first came out in 2008, the federal government was fighting cryptology back then because they were saying, spies using everything else to spy on everybody.
Yeah.
And they told a couple of these scientists, you will cease and desist, or we're going to arrest you for treason. You got to do a deep dive into where this thing came from. With Satoshi and everybody else. 2011 goes forward. They kind of made it better. So it kind of goes forward. And these guys who's been in this game since 2017, they really capitalized because Bitcoin is going for what, 6 cents, $10. Ethereum is going for like, I got in what, at the end of 2020, not bad, but man, can you imagine getting in this game back then?
I was complaining about the price in 2017. Now I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
You could have been in Dubai somewhere right now. Do your podcast in Dubai, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's not late because
there's always new occurring.
It's never. Yeah. I mean, to me, this is a new environment. This is a new thing. There's going to be new assets that's going to come down. People always gravitate towards the top 10 or top 20 that has staying power, and I call safe zone. And I can say them out, but anyway, that's your safe zone. Your money's going to be there, and it's going to appreciate. It's not going away. What about the top 10? They're not going away. Or you can go play in the bottom, with these new processes, these new coins that come out, but these new utilities are coming out, and they say they're going to do this. Before you know, you get a rug pull and you lose all your money. But if it does get big, you're a millionaire. A lot of young people become millionaires overnight. I think you just got to do your homework and understand what you're getting into. Any asset that you jump into, the key thing is what's utility to it, and how long you think it's going to last. And you got to believe in the process yourself. Anytime I buy an asset, I have to believe it's going to work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bitcoin. I mean, that's hands down. I don't care where it goes. It's hands down. You got too many rich people rich people always want to dominate something. When you only have 21 million in circulation, okay, the keeper of the gate. I understand that. But these other things that's coming along, it's crazy. There's one out there that helps with tracking. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it helps with tracking. And a lot of people don't understand. You got companies like Louis Vuitton, Prada, Gucci. These guys are already using that. It's real big in China right now, and a couple of these other countries. They're using it as a tracking mechanism. So you figure if this technology is used when that Louis Vuitton purse is made from the factory, it has a tracking number on it, right? So it tracks from where it's made at, what store it goes to, and every time it changes hands to a different buyer, you can look at that code and say, okay, it's original. So that's the best part, because you kind of get all of these bootleg things out of here, because these guys got tracking numbers. A lot of things happening right now when you look at that. Can't remember which one that was. You guys know which one that is?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've heard of it yet.
It's good though that we're giving examples that are not just currency, because a lot of times people feel like all the cryptocurrencies are just, kind of like Bitcoin. It's more of a, whether it's, you want to call it gold or just a digital currency. But some of them, like even ADA or there's other ones, Solana, Polygon, they do other things besides, act as a digital currency.
Exactly. What utilities of that asset itself.
Yeah.
What is it good for? Is it good for a payment center? Is it good for technology? You talk about the blockchain itself. Do you have an asset that can help people on board to the blockchain that would convert a language to another language? So you talk about, what's it, chain? Yeah, I watch these every day, and I had a mind blank. But you have all these assets on there where, when you jump into this crypto environment, you got to understand they're all used for something. Bitcoin is the only asset that's just Bitcoin. It's a digital asset. It's a king of the jungle. It's called VeChain. VeChain.
Oh yeah, VeChain.
Okay, yeah.
There you go. It's not financial advice. Get you some VeChain.
Yeah, we do.
Get you some VeChain, man.
That's definitely on my radar.
And you figure, what utility does that offer you? And to reinforce what I just told you, Prada, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Walmart, China, Asian Walmart is using VeChain now. They always test it somewhere else. They're testing. So when you can take that and track your products from groceries to authentic, stuff that costs money, and you have a ledger on that through the whole duration life of that product, you feel more secure in using that, right? And these big companies feel secure, because if I'm buying a Louis Vuitton and I'm not trying to buy, this bootleg, and I can verify it with the scanner. Somebody's always going to try to beat the game, but you verify however they want to do it. And you say, okay, this purse right here was made in 2017. Everything else, gives you the whole history. It changed hand and went to this store, this store. That's what VeChain is doing. That's the technology of it. So when you buy the coin itself, you're hoping that technology is going to get big enough to institutional buyers and retail buyers to say, okay, it's worth something now. That inflates the price of it. That's what we want to make our money at, right? But the pure essence of what these assets are for, that's what's key. You have to understand what they're for. I got a lot of time on my hands. I ain't got no job. My wife said, don't say that no more.
That's a good problem.
She's like, don't say that. I ain't got no job. Yeah. I done did all my work.
We call it house husbands. We're called house husbands.
All about them. Hey, I'm about them honeydews. I ain't got a problem with that. I got a ladder. Yeah, I got a ladder. But I took on this crypto as a side thing, and it became a lot. So I kind of started a platform called BlaQue Crypto. And when I say Black crypto, is it just for Black people? I don't think in that sense. I say it's inclusive, but it's never exclusive. Mm-hmm. And that summarizes the whole thing right there. You want to get in. I'm not gonna keep you out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. Who am I generating this message to my community? But all are accepted to come into this community. because crypto ain't got no color on it.
No.
Money ain't got no color on it. I mean, it's green, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? When you start talking about money, it is what it is. You can be from wherever. You
no
come in there with some
discrimination.
money. Man, you can have a seat, sir.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Have a seat, sir. Would you like some? That's what it is, though. Yeah. So when I created BlaQue Crypto, you know, there's a place where people in my community can come and understand what's this new technology that's coming up. Not just money, not just this digital asset. What's this new technology? Because at the end of the day, it's a technology that we have to get on. And within this technology, you talk about Web3. This is something that's going to supersize the internet, Web3. So we have to understand now what this stuff's about. And so, you know, last year I was down in LA last year with my daughter in Northridge. And, you know, I was kicking back in her room and, you know, her and my wife went shopping, started writing the book. Okay. So it just popped in my head, you know, because, you know, I seen these kids walking. I said, you know, it's good that I know this, but if you're not sharing knowledge, it's a waste. Each one teach one. I love that. Iron sharpen iron. You gotta share that knowledge. So I wrote a book about Brandy and Jacob crypto adventure, you know, and it kind of directs itself to 9 to 13. I mean, a 7-year-old can read it. Okay. 7 to 13, right? But people bought that book a little older, saying, "Dang, man, that's what it is." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you write it in the simplest format. Yeah. You make it, you know, like, you know, the thing I used to say is somebody's talking crazy to me, explain it to me like I'm a 4-year-old. You know, yeah. I understand them big words and all of that. I can go get my dictionary, break it down like I'm a 4-year-old. So I can, like, we're having a conversation in the street, or we chilling on some tea. Break it down to me, explain it to me. So when I wrote my book, I try to make it as simple as possible, where it's going to grasp a youngster and say, okay, it's kind of cool, you know, cartoons, look at Brandy, look at Jacob, they got their little bikes, you know, they, you know, little ride where, you know, where a guy here, I'm talking about it one day, hey, I could tell you about crypto. It's a secret. You know, it's a big secret. Because right now, it's a big secret a lot of us don't know about. Yeah. A lot of people of color don't know about. They don't know the secret. But you know what? If you want to know the secret, you can know. So the book kind of goes in that kind of format, and it kind of takes them on a little minor adventure of the basic of what crypto is. You know, the basic of what block technology is. So I'm selling it on Amazon right now. Okay. It is moving. I have some pretty good reviews on it. So I already wrote the second book, you know, Brandy and Jacob Get Lost in the Metaverse. Nice. So nice. I'm hoping by writing these little books, it's telling a story of this new technology our kids need to know, you know, and they need to know it early. They need to know it at 9 and 10. You know, they need to know when you playing on Roblox. You know, my granddaughter, she loves Roblox, right? When you playing Roblox, you're basically into the metaverse. You're basically into the blockchain technology. So you have to break it down where you're explaining what this really is. So, you know, I've some pretty good reviews on it so far.
It just sounds like a very great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you for doing that, because one of the things I brought up before with other guests when we're talking about crypto is like, what is the best way to teach kids, you know, about crypto? And a lot of people haven't figured out how yet, but I did mention someone that we're talking to someone that's created a kid's book for crypto. So definitely need to get that.
Yeah.
You know, I'll send you guys, let me know where you're at. I'll send you a book.
Oh, definitely.
And the key is,
I appreciate that.
I'll send you guys a book. And the thing of it is, yes, I can make money on it, and that's all good and dandy. But at the end of the day, sharing that information and opening eyes of our youth about something they're gonna be utilizing is better. You know, I ain't never turned away money. Don't get me wrong. But the same, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I got a pretty good retirement. Don't get me wrong. But sharing that information and get that out there, man, that is just being responsible, because I know something. And if I know something, I got to get it out there. And irresponsible is have all this knowledge and just want to capitalize for myself. You know, you know, when these kids read this book and they start getting into this blockchain, they start getting into this metaverse, you don't know what they're going to come up with. You know, you don't know what they're going to develop. You don't know what's going to start turning in their minds to say, okay, I'm into this. I'm getting it. You know.
Yeah, it's definitely a big future in it.
Oh man, it is. It's just, I think it's awesome. You know, from my age and me talking to guys my age, hey, I ain't wasting my money in that.
But I'm glad to see that you're in it, because I've mentioned it to a lot of people, family members and things like that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a very small, results.
Very small.
Very small
we're missing the boat.
Yeah. It's getting better though. But yeah.
Yeah, it's getting a little better, but yeah.
And that's why we try to talk crypto with as many people as we can, because sometimes, it might be a different subject we're talking about, but just in case we bring up crypto just to see. And we find out that person is utilizing blockchain technology in their company and things like that. So we try to bring it up as much as possible on the podcast.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons why we even built the platform as well, is to learn from people, and also so people can learn what we're learning, because sometimes when it's coming from us, it doesn't necessarily always, they don't necessarily always take it in, but to hear somebody like you talking about it as well on our platform, it helps, it educates me, and it also educates our audience as well. So appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys for having me on, man. You got me talking. When I get to talking, my mouth just don't shut up sometimes.
Well, coming into the podcast world, hey, that's what you got to be ready for.
Yeah.
You got to be comfortable. Being able to talk is, that's a superpower in the podcast world.
It's definitely a superpower, and I think the platform you can influence so many.
Thank you.
And I think that's very key, that you can influence so many in a positive way. And like you said, when you start talking about crypto, and people hear you, your age, older and younger, there should be something that's going to click, because you look at the Super Bowl ads, they were on there, but they didn't explain it in layman's term.
Right.
You showing me LeBron James and his son in Toro, or you showing me, was that the cable guy or whatever that was. To me, it wasn't in a layman's term where people can grasp what it was. I give those guys a C for getting them on a bigger platform. I give them an F because they really didn't explain it to a point where a lot of people can catch on to it,
right,
and really grasp that idea. But I think when you have companies like Nike's and Adidas, Puma, these guys are buying into it heavy. And I hate that for our people, is that every time we're interested, when it's tagged to,
it's validated.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that. I didn't grow up on no Nikes.
Yeah.
You're right. They validate us by saying, okay, crypto's cool because it's attached to Nikes. Crypto's cool because it's attached to a Gucci suit. Crypto's cool because it's attached to all that. But at the end of the day, these guys are making money. That's all they are.
Yeah.
They're institutional buyers, and their bottom line is getting bigger and bigger. And until we really understand that, hey, this thing is bigger than all of us. The internet was big, and the only reason I say this is bigger because you have dollar signs attached to it. The internet was for informational trading, exchange of information. That's what the internet started as, and then it kind of capitalized where you can put ads on it and you make your money there. But with crypto technology itself, you're talking about a platform that is the money. As that platform gets bigger, people are making money on it. As ADA gets bigger and I hold ADA assets, I'm making money on it. I'm contributing by buying into it, but I'm making money, but it's solving a problem. Right. And when people have something that's going to solve a problem, you're more readily to get your money into it because, man, it's solving problems. It's solving problems. I mean, a person who's thinking clearly, it's solving problems. So, it's going to make some money. Yeah. So I think that's what this asset class is doing right now. It's going to solve some problems. I mean, our accounting, our books, our colleges, our education, the store of information itself, the access of information itself on a blockchain that's not centralized and it's not governed by one party where you can access this stuff. being that there's going to be some security protocols in it, so you can't alter it, or everybody can't see everything. But things that the public can see.
Yeah.
It's going to be mind blowing. So that's why I wrote my little book. To get the kids going. Get their minds going. So I started. With this, I started TikTok. My granddaughter cracks up. She's like, "Oh my God, TikTok!" She got on TikTok, man. But it is what it is.
And we always promote fan base as well.
Yeah. So, if you haven't heard of fan base,
yes, it's by Isaac Hayes the third. It's a brand new platform, and I'm looking forward to the prosperity from it and the success of it.
What is similar?
It's similar to most social media platforms, but it has a couple of different systems to where it allows the creator to really kind of benefit and kind of make some money from the content. So it likes you. You're able to purchase loves, and you're able, you have likes and you have loves. So you can give a bunch of loves if you like, and then if it has loves to where you can press love, you can purchase loves and you can give love. So you get a percentage of, or you can make,
you basically pay it's a way to, you can have public content, but you can also post exclusive content to where they have to purchase it in order to unlock it. So I just did that today. Like somebody said 100 loves in order to unlock this content. And then you can also have subscribers and you get money for having subscribers. So it's kind of a mixture of kind of like having a Patreon, or I've never used Fans Only, and Instagram together. It's pretty cool, and it's Black owned, so that's always.
I think I'm definitely going to jump on that tonight. Fan base, huh? That's something new, because you look at these other platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I've opened all those accounts, and I think that's where information starts at. But fan base, so I really got to look into that. I love hearing where it was Black owned or Black operated, Black started.
Yeah.
Because there's relevant into that, and a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time that was lost. Now we get back on that playing field, that level.
Yeah. And one of the things is with, Instagram and some other platforms, they just don't show your content to your followers. And that's been one of the biggest issues. Period.
The algorithm.
Because of the algorithm, it's just getting your content to the people that's following you. It shouldn't be that hard. So, yeah.
It's all about, I understand the algorithm. It sounds good. It's the money. They want you to take these ads out. They want you to boost your platform, and then when you get so many, okay, we're going to show your content, right? But then how do you, like you say, how do you get all of these followers and everything if you're not sending it out there when I post it, right? So there's always something. And to me, when you get on Facebook probably the biggest. I'm gonna be nice out there, but how they connect Facebook with Twitter and Instagram together, right? So you go into that, the creator and all of this, and once you set that up, if you're not spending money, your ads or getting your stuff out there, it takes a very long time for you to get a presence. I don't care how popular your information is.
Yeah.
You have to do something to get that presence in that space. Yeah. So hopefully fan base is going to be a little better.
That's what we're hoping as well.
They don't play the games of, I think they show everyone, whoever is following you, they'll show them the content. Yeah. And it's a new platform. So there's that, there's not millions of people yet. So that gives you as a content creator a chance to dominate or in a particular topic.
And to get a jump on the platform.
To get a jump on the platform.
So that's good. I think that's good. I think I'm going to check that out. It's just exciting times right now in the crypto environment. You guys, I hope you guys are following what the SEC is doing as far as the regulatory process of crypto itself. And
kind of slowly keeping up with it, but it's been a little tough. We've been in the podcast world as well, so we're learning the information from the guests as well.
That's good. It's kind of crazy. You look at a benchmark case right now is SEC versus XRP.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Is it a security? Is it not a security? Right. And
What is
they
it?
open up these memos.
I guess what is it about XRP that they're, is being treated differently, and they're having this court case over? Like, why is that different?
They're trying to use them as an example. Are they selling a securities product with their business, with their company, or was they not? Were they following the regulatory guidelines of the SEC, securities? And I think early on when they started, they told those guys, "So you guys are good. It's not a security." And then, I think when money gets involved and you start making more money, my personal opinion, I think they bit off something they wish they wouldn't have. Because I don't think they see an explosion. I mean, remember, this court case has been involved for a while. I don't think they've seen an explosion of crypto information and people jumping on before they did that court case. I mean, so they can say, okay, we made a mistake. But you got to figure they have to save face, because how this case comes out is going to determine if they can go after somebody else or not, right? So I think they're going to lose that case, but they got to lose it with dignity. And the same thing with lending behavior within the crypto atmosphere. You go to a bank and you get 0.1% on your money, right? And the bank takes your money and lends it to somebody else and charge 8%, depending on what your credit looks like, right? That's a hustle to me. You join the crypto, and what they call is staking, is a staking pool. So if I had $5,000 worth of Ethereum and I stake it on whatever exchange I'm looking at, and they're giving me 4% or 7% just to stake it there, and I'm earning money on that, it's a conflict of interest with world banks and governments, because now you're providing a service that our banks cannot compete with. So the regulatory process between all of that kind of surrounds around XRP too, because a lot of that's, they're trying to look at a lot of that. They're going at some of these exchanges and saying you're in violation. All of a sudden you're in violation. The World Bank, they don't want this here because those guys control everything in this world. El Salvador, the president keep buying up this Bitcoin like he's crazy. That's the biggest pimp in the world to me. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. He's a pimp, man. Yeah. He already know. When the World Bank's telling you it's not a good idea, don't do that no more. Man, go on. You go buy some more. You buy some more. I mean, this week with Ukraine and all the other things that's going on in the world, even though the markets took a big dip, it shows that it goes back up. So this guy, the president is probably at 36. And he's buying a lot of it, right? So imagine you're buying at 36, 37, and it jumps back to $70,000. What did this country just make? Gangsters. Yeah. He's a pimp. He's a pimp. He's a pimp the game. He's double the country's money that fast, right? Mm-hmm. So every time it's dip, he buys more. So if you look at a statistic, you look at El Salvador's tourist industry is going up. You look at the inflow of people moving to El Salvador is going up, right? So you got to pay attention. You go to Cuba, they don't tax Bitcoin. Some of these countries won't tax crypto. So you gotta pay attention to what's going on, because that means money's big. El Salvador used to operate by borrowing money from the World Bank. Okay, we'll let you borrow a couple $1 billion, right? Now, you into me for a couple billion. No matter what you do, you owe me some money. I don't care how big you're trying to get, you owe me. Where my money at first, right? Mm-hmm. So their GDP is not that big. So then, if they tell the World Bank, I don't want to borrow that money no more, I'm going to buy me some Bitcoin. World Bank get mad now. Because, oh man, you cutting me out. You cutting me out of my money right now, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me that ain't a pimp game. I mean, when I use that word, I use it loose. You know what I mean? He's hustling it. I mean, but he's making smart moves for his country. Yeah. Very smart moves, because you're talking about people like Michael Saylor, Kathy Woods. These got great investors, right? Big companies. When they're talking about an asset that can go from 29,000 to maybe 100,000, 150,000, and you're buying down here, what did you just do for your country? You don't. I mean, You done put them back on the board. And plus, you don't owe nobody nothing. You get to pay out the World Bank and say, get out of my country. Stop pimping me. Get out of here. World Bank saying, oh, man, they're criminals and all of this. So it's just a great time to be into that environment. Yeah. It's a great time to people jump in.
It's a good example that they're setting for other countries, too, because a lot of countries been going in debt, borrowing from World Bank or whoever else, the U.S., China, whatever. But this is a good lesson for that country to invest in cryptocurrency and flip your money.
Yeah.
Isn't that the way the system has been devised for all of these years?
Right.
Keep a third world country, and you will always owe me. It's like society. I'm going to keep you poor, so you'll always owe me. I'm going to keep you on welfare. I'm going to keep you all dependent on me so I can control you. I'm a soldier, man. I'm American, right? But at the same time, these big companies, and I don't want to get into these conspiracy theories like BlackRock and everybody else, but you got to understand a lot of things were put in place to keep a certain class at that stage.
Yeah.
And don't want them to go past that stage. And we can talk about welfare. We can talk about the insurance game. I was so bored last year when I got my insurance license. And when I got my insurance license, I was blown back. The insurance tax codes, the tax codes that was put in place for the wealthy that we don't know about. So I was just blown back. That's a bigger game in the world that we just average person don't even know about. So, somebody rich has a baby, they make $1 million babies with an insurance policy. Remember, what's the only asset that you cannot tax? A death policy, right? You can't tax a death policy. So you take a death policy and you attach it with a interest-bearing account where you're going to make money on it all the time, right? And at the same time, you can lend money out of your policy. And if you don't pay it back, they just take it at the end when you die. And don't bother nobody, huh?
Wow.
But you never borrowed from a bank. You never made a payment to pay it back. You're not penalized on not paying it back, even though they say you owe 3% on it, but you're not penalized because you did. And instead of giving your family 1.5 million, they're going to give you 1.4 million because he took this money out before he died. Tell me that is not a hustle or what? Tax code 7709. It is so crazy. The things that's put in place to stop us from getting wealth. All right. So that's why I say when you talk about a decentralized asset like this, you have to be involved. You have to understand. At my age, I'm blessed. I thank God every day for my family and what He's let me accomplish in my life. But I have to give it back because it's not done. You're not done till you did.
Understood.
People say, "Are you accomplished?" What does that mean? Accomplished, right? I'm accomplished when you bury me. You know what I'm saying? I'm accomplished. That's what God said, it's time, okay, you done. I'm not done until you say I'm done. And He'll let me know when I'm done because I'll be in a box somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But as we hear, I think it's obligation to pass this on. And when you're talking about, when you got something like this, and you get so excited about it, it's got to be something in it, man. I don't know if you guys get excited about crypto like I do, but it's something in it.
Oh yeah,
I definitely do.
Yeah, we do. But before we get ready to close it out, is there any links and everything to your books that you'd like to share with the audience and things like that?
Or any projects?
Well, right now, basically it's Brandy and Jacob Crypto Adventure. You can find it on Amazon.
Okay.
I'm on the local media platforms right now, like internet. If you go on, Instagram, BlaQue Crypto on Twitter, BlaQue Crypto on Facebook, BlaQue Crypto on TikTok.
Okay, and coming soon to Facebook. I mean, fan base. Hoping coming soon to fan base.
You told me I'm coming. So I'm definitely on fan base. I'm forming a LLC. I got the BlaQue Crypto merch ready. To be launched out. Just want the whole platform. BlaQue Crypto Academy to be coming pretty soon. And that academy is going to circulate about pushing that knowledge out like this, having those round robin, getting into the neighborhoods, talking about this. So just be on the lookout for Black Crypto Academy. It's coming pretty quick. Man, that dude talk too much.
No, like I said, it's been an amazing conversation.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
we really appreciate all the information you've shared with us and just, the life gems in general. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. And if you're ever in LA, definitely stop by. We have a studio. We can record a live podcast as well.
So if you want to come by for an in studio, recording, we always invite people out.
Tell my daughter that, man. She have me in LA.
Yeah. And we have 4 mics. So if she want to sit down and talk about her experience with everything in California as well, it's a great conversation.
It's Black Crypto Academy and Black Crypto Gear, and my next Brandy and Jacob in the Metaverse, Lost in the Metaverse come out. I'll come down there and talk to you guys. Sit down and chat.
Definitely.
I'll bring the coffee. I'll bring the tea.
Either one.
I'll bring tea. I don't drink coffee. I drink some tea now.
Yeah.
Well, we'd like to thank all our listeners for listening, all our supporters. And
you can find us at AmericanGypC.com, and we also have consistent self-improvement merch at luamli.com. And we have music.
Also have music under Classic Carpenter, and that's KLACCIK CARPENTA. That's on Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, Apple Music, etc.
All the major platforms, and all the information Antonio mentioned and we mentioned will be in the description. Thank you for listening.
Thank you again, Antonio, for the great information and the great conversation and the energy.
Thank you guys, man.
And
really appreciate it.
And we appreciate what you're doing for the kids with teaching crypto as well. And thank you to everyone listening. Consistent self-improvement to everyone.
Peace.
And peace.